So that's that. Excuse my voice. I have had these allergies lately. I've never had allergies before, but whatever that's going on, that's what you're hearing. So, yeah, we don't know how to deal with that. I've never had allergies in my life. But today I wanted to talk about um, writing versus reading. Two things that I love so much. I love reading. Reading was my best friend growing up. You know, when I never could talk to somebody, you know, adults or kids would not understand me, and adults would never listen. The books used to listen. So I always loved to read. And then I've learned how to write. The same time, actually, every time I would read, I will always write. Because I always had some thoughts about the book. And I never had anybody to share with. So it just became an automatic thing to read and write. Read and write. So I always walk with a book and a notebook. I have so many notebooks in the house everywhere I go. I can be in a hotel for like maybe 2 days or something like that. You'll find like maybe 4 notebooks. Most of them are written on because I always write. Sometimes when I'm just sitting somewhere and just thinking, I just write. If if I want to take some vacation from my own mind and I want to just relax and I'm sitting at the park or I'm just sitting in my living room or something, I will read. Okay? I will read, and I want to talk about my way of choosing books. You see, I'll read something like this. People will think that I read maybe books like Ask and It Is Given, Learning to Manifest Your Desires. Like, it doesn't say anything to me, really. Like, these kind of books, I will kind of just super read and dip. If it's something that I want to grasp, I will just take it. But other than that, it's just like most of this is just gonna make my brain work, because these are the thoughts that I have daily, you know, about the universe. I have questions, I speculate a lot. So I don't want to dive in more into my own mind. So these kind of books are not so interesting to me. But like I said, I just scroll through it in a dip. I see whatever I feel like it's maybe like, you know, this sounds like something I can read, and I can just read through it maybe 1 minute or 2. And I would have this book around me, and I will do that here and there, and I will finish it by just doing that, but I will never absorb it. When it comes to books like Stephen King, The Shining, like these kind of books, you may never think I will read it because they are horror. It's just something that my mind cannot comprehend somehow. But Mr. King can. And for me, I read these books to dive into the author's mind. So when he was writing this book, he was writing in his state of mind, right? So I'm not interested in the killing and the horror part of it. All of that is kind of like blocked for me, and I'm not ignoring it. I'm not neglecting it. It's there, but I'm more interested in Mr. King's mind. What would he write there? How did that originate from his mind? How did he just, you know, took it from here into his book? So to me, I dive more into the author's mind, and that's kind of like an adventure for me. And I love his mind, you know. It's kind of like all his depressions, whatever he goes through, you can see it through his stories. And it's just like diving into someone else's mind instead of, for example, reading Joe Dispenza's mind, which is, most of it is similar to my own thoughts, right? So I would not feel entertained by this one like I would with this, because this is just gonna make my mind speculate even more, which is great, but it's an exercise rather than entertainment. So it's like validating my own thoughts through his thoughts. I would think like, hey, oh, Joe was thinking this way. I thought about that way too. And there are some things that I haven't thought about that he thought about, and it adds up to my speculation. So to me, reading his book was more like a validation to my own thoughts and the things that I think about, and you know, becoming supernatural or whatever you want to call it, you know. These, whatever that's in this book are similar to the thoughts that I normally have. So it's not an entertainment, it's kind of like a brain exercise. So when I read these kind of books, I will go into my notebook and I will just write certain things that are similar to my own thoughts. And then I will continue, you know, writing it in here. While, for example, Mr. King will make me think of humans in general. It would make me think of like, hey, we are, you know, 7-8 billion people on this planet. Everybody's attached to a mind. Their mind is wired different. So just diving into one person's mind, such as this person, because he chooses to share. I feel like the authors, when they write a book, they choose to share their mind, how their mind works. That's how I feel like. So this one would just make me think like, that's how human think. This is how he thinks. Or like, you know, when he wrote that story, how was his state of mind? He was an alcoholic. He was this, you know, he was going through it. And then horror stories comes out because of the internal world, you know, what he's experiencing on the outside, on the inside. He put it on the outside, right? While Joe here have been speculating, walking around, thinking, just like I do every day. And then he put it in the book. So it helps me to see that there is another individual out there that think like me, you know, who figure out these things. And it's kind of like a validation for me. So this is like a brain exercise, like I said. But then let me talk about writing. I love writing more than reading. Reading to me, it's more of like consuming information. Like I said, I'm going into this man's mind, speculating more of like how his mind works and why not, and this. So I'm working, I'm speculating. There is so much information to consume, to digest. So this way, I'm actually using so much energy to do all of this. While writing, I feel like it's kind of a detox from all the books that I have read, whatever speculations that I had of them, anything that I thought about, I write it down. When I write it down, it's like it comes out of my system and it goes into the book or into this black book. So to me, writing it's something I have to do, because it's kind of like a release into me. Like if you eat, it has to come out, right? And I feel like reading is like eating, and it needs to come out. And the way I take it out is by writing down. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but that's how I do it. And I think it's important to really write as a form of release, letting go. Whatever idea you even consume from these books, just take it out, speculate it, put it down on the book. Don't carry it around. Don't think that, oh, this is something I have to do. This is something blah blah blah, or like thinking about what you have read all day long. All of that, it's kind of like a baggage, I feel like. So I read, I write, I read, I write. That's a way of releasing the information without clinging on to it, without making it my own or anything like that. But by writing it down, it actually becomes like, okay, I've understood.